Today, I'll be talking on somatoscopic observation of hair, skin, nose, lips, and eye. Well, first of all, let us start with what is meant by somatoscopic observation. Somatos simply means body and scopy means observation. So, somatoscopy means it is the visual observation and at the same time description of the morphological features of an individual. We describe various physical traits which are not indicated by measurements. That means such traits which we observe by our eyes are not that way measurable. So, somatoscopic trait covers only those traits which can be visibly observed but cannot be measured. So, it has been in the use by physical anthropologists for the last more than 100 years for explaining variations of different populations. Observations are made on different parts of the body, but particularly more on head and face, because head and face is exposed and visible part of the body through which an individual can be very easily identified. So, the characters or the traits being qualitative in nature, it is rather subjective again. So, we usually give subjective judgment. And it also at the same time involves some amount of inaccuracy. Therefore, as far as possible, we should try to be objective so that we can visualize and give a proper description of the individual from somatoscopic point of view. Well, for all somatoscopic observation, one should always keep in mind that observations should be made in good daylight, but avoiding direct exposure to sunlight. Now, why do we use this somatoscopic observation? That means, let us come to the objective of somatoscopy. So, we go for somatoscopic observation mainly for identification of an individual. At the same time, it can also give a comparative morphological features between individuals or groups. Then at the same time, it is again used as a criteria for racial distinction. That means by studying such anthroposcopic characters, we can identify which particular group of population, which particular race possesses which particular physical traits or observable traits. Let us start with hair. And in hair, we will be covering hair form and hair texture. First of all, let us take up hair form. Human hair is not perfectly straight. If the radius of curvature of the hair is greater than that of the head, then we say that the hair is straight. And when it is cut short, it looks very straight. And even for long hairs, if the radius of curvature of the hair is more than that of the head, then when it hangs down freely on its own weight, it seems straight. If the curvature is in alternate direction, say as for example, if the hair curvature is like this, it is simply one curve. And whereas if it is in alternate direction like this, it becomes wavy. So if the hair is in alternate direction, then it is wavy, and the nature of waviness depends on radius of curvature. That means if the radius of curvature is small, then it goes like this, like this. If the radius curvature is large, it goes like this. So here we say flat wavy. or broad wavy, here narrow wavy, like this. And on the other hand, if the radius of curvature is only in one direction, that means if the radius of curvature is in this direction, only in this direction, then it goes like this, like this, like this. So the hair form resembles a spiral form, or it becomes curl, 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 in curl. Now, this is broadly the types of hair form, but following Martin and Sellers method, or following Martin's and Sellers scheme of classification, hair form can be classified as Leotrichus, which include straight hair, then flat wavy hair, then narrow wavy hair. This comes under Leotrichus form of hair. Then we have a second category of hair, that is Symotrichus. So under Symotrichus, it comes your narrow wavy hair, then curly hair, and broad wavy hair as well. Then we have a third category. The third category is Eulotrichus. This type of hair is mainly observed among the Negro population or Negroid population. So woolly hair, frizzly hair is also otherwise called as kinky hair, then peppercorn type of hair, then spiral hair. This all comes under Eulotrichus hair. Now let us come to the next part, that is hair texture. So hair texture means how is the thickness of the hair or coarseness of the hair, whether a strand of hair is fine or coarse or medium. So if we simply feel it with our thumb and the forefinger, we can very easily feel that the hair is very fine, it is coarse, or it is medium. So we have these three different categories of hair: fine, coarse, and medium. Now let us come to the next observation, that is skin color. We often talk of skin color. Now, what is the main source which makes our skin colored? 5 different pigments are there which makes our skin color. One is melanin, the second is melanoid, the third is keratin, the fourth is reduced hemoglobin, and fifth is oxyhemoglobin. And above this, we have one additional optical effect, that is scattering. So these 5 pigments plus the optical effect, that is scattering, makes our skin colored. But out of those pigments which makes our skin colored, the first pigment which I have mentioned, that is melanin, this is a black substance, and the most important pigment which determines the color of the skin. The more the amount of melanin in our skin, the darker is the skin color. The lesser the amount of melanin in our skin, the fairer is the skin color. Well, for determining the skin color, we can take help of spectrophotometry. But conventionally, we observe skin color using skin color chart. And that particular chart, there is one particular chart, Luchan's skin color chart. And According to that Luchan's skin color chart, skin color can be classified as yellowish white, carmine white, then yellowish, then light brown skin color, then fawn white skin color, pinkish white skin color, dark brown skin color, reddish brown skin color, grayish black skin color. So these are the different varieties of skin color following Luchan's skin color chart. So now the question is, for observing skin color, which part of the body is to be observed? Which part of the body is to be observed for observing or determining the skin color? So if we observe it in the forehead, and if we observe it in the underside of the upper arm, there will be naturally a difference, because the forehead is exposed to sunlight all the time, whereas the underside of the upper arm is not exposed. So we can consider these two differences. If you want to observe the exposed part, you can go for observing the forehead, whereas if you want to observe the unexposed part, you can go for observing the underside of upper arm. But usually, conventionally, we observe human skin color on the underside of the upper arm. Under this nose, we will be observing nasal root, nasal bridge, and nasal septum. What are the different varieties of nasal root? What are the different varieties of nasal bridge? And what are the different varieties of nasal septum is to be observed through this observation of nose. Well, let us start with nasal root. What is nasal root? Nasal root is that portion of the nose between the eyes and at the junction of the nasal skeleton with the middle part of the forehead. When we observed from profile, from the side, from lateral view, this is the forehead, and now here there is a depression usually, then it goes like this. This is the nose. Now this part is what we call as nasal root. So this nasal root may be classified as either high or medium or deep. High, medium or deep. Or sometimes we call, instead of saying high, we call it shallow. Shallow, medium, deep. So say as for example, this is forehead, and if it is like this, then we say it is deep. When it is like this, we may say it as medium. And when it is almost like this is the forehead, like this, then we may say it as shallow or high. So for observing nasal root, we should always observe it from the profile. That means from the side, not from the front. From the front, it will be difficult for us to identify whether an individual is having deep nasal root or shallow nasal root or medium nasal root. Now let us come to nasal bridge. So nasal bridge is that part of the nose between the nasal root and nasal tip. So this is nasal root and this is nasal tip. So this is tip and this is root. So this portion is called nasal bridge. For classifying nasal bridge, we have to observe it from the profile, from the lateral side of the nose. And conventionally, we divide nasal bridge into 4 types. One is straight nasal bridge. Whereas for some individual, it may be something like this. That means having a concavity. So this is concave nose or concave nasal bridge. So we have straight bridge, concave bridge, at the same time a convex bridge like this, a convex bridge, convex nasal bridge. And again, for some individual, both concave as well as convex surface is present. So something like this, convexity somewhere here, concavity somewhere here, like this. You see, convexity here, concavity here. So such type of nasal bridge is called concavo-convex nose. Now let us come to nasal septum. So nasal septum is that part of the nose between the tip of the nose and point of junction where the upper margin of the integumentary leaf meets the base of the nose. So from this point to this point, this is called nasal septum, and it separates the 2 nostrils. So here again, for observing this nasal septum, we have to observe it again from the profile. So while observing from the profile, we have to see whether the nasal septum is oriented upward or downward or horizontal. We classify nasal septum into 3 categories: straight or horizontal nasal septum, then upward nasal septum, and downward nasal septum. Under this leaf, we will be covering form of leaf and eversion of leaf. For practical purpose of racial distinction, the leaves are of little value unless there is a Negro strain. That means Negro or Negroid population, they have a special type of leaf which can easily distinguish them from other population, that means from white and Mongoloid. Otherwise, there is no point or there is less use of this leaf form or leaf eversion for studying individual variation. When we say leaf, we are going to mean to the true leaf. This is leaf. This is called true leaf. Whereas the skin covering the upper part of the leaf, this is also called leaf, but this is integumentary leaf, and this is true leaf. So for our classification purpose, we will be confining to true leaves. So on the basis of size of the true leaf, we can divide or we can classify it into thin leaf or medium leaf, thick leaf or puffy leaf. Thin leaf means a very, very thin leaf, small and thin leaf. Medium is medium sized leaf. Thick means thicker leaves, whereas puffy means very big leaf. So that is as far as size of the leaf is concerned. At the same time, we can go for form of leaf also. Here, straight form, convex form, concave form of leaves are there. Now coming to eversion, leaf eversion, we have none, that means no eversion or almost eversion absent, then slight or moderate eversion and marked eversion. When we observe an individual from the profile, view, the lips is something like this. Lips. So, a marked eversion lip shows this pattern. This type of leaf. You see, this is chin, and this leaf. You see very big protruding leaves which everts. So this is truly marked eversion of leaf. Otherwise, there may be slight or moderate eversion or almost absent eversion. So we have three types of eversion, that is slight eversion, marked eversion, and almost absent eversion. So these are the three different categories of leaf eversion. Now let us come to the last character, that is eye. Under this character, we will be discussing on eye fall, eye color, and eye feature or opening of eye. This is the inner corner of the eye. We call it inner canthus, and this is outer canthus. And we have this eyelid. This is the upper eyelid. And above this upper eyelid, we have fatty skin. This fatty skin hangs downward and cover the upper eyelid. Then we say that that individual is having eye fall. There are different varieties of eye fall. As such, in one case, if the upper fatty skin hangs over the inner margin of the upper eyelid, then it is called as internal eye fall or internal epicanthic eye fall. At the same time, there may be individual for whom this may be external epicanthic fall or outer epicanthic fall. And at the same time, there may be case of middle epicanthic fall, where the upper fatty skin hangs over and cover the middle part of the upper eyelid. Then this is called middle epicanthic fall or median epicanthic fall. Then again we have another fourth category, that is complete eye fall. So for this complete eye fall, what happened? The whole fatty skin above the upper eyelid hangs down freely and cover the whole or the entire upper eyelid. Then that is called total epicanthic fall or complete epicanthic fall. Apart from this, we have another eye fall, that is pseudo-complete eye fall. These are usually found in small babies, usually less than 1 year. But when they attain the age of 1 or 2 years, pseudo-complete eye fall will be lost. Or for very, very aged people, such type of eye fall are observed. Apart from this, we have another category where there is no eye fall at all. So that category we call absence of eye fall. Now let us come to the next character of eye, that is slit opening. Slit opening means it's a transverse axis of the eye, opening from inner to outer. So we have three categories of eye slit opening. The first one is horizontal slit opening. The second one is upward and outward. Then third one is downward and outward. Usually horizontal eye slit opening are observed on those individuals who have broad face. Among the Mongoloid people, outward and upward, this type. Outward and upward, this type of eyeball opening is observed. And downward and outward, such type of eye slit opening are usually observed among those individuals having narrow face. So this is as far as eye slit opening is concerned. Now let us come to the last character of eye, that is eye color. So eye color is to be recorded in good daylight. And when we observe eye color, it is to be observed in two different areas. One, iris. Secondly, this portion is called sclera, and we observe eye color of this sclera also. So, for iris, we have black, then brown, dark brown, light brown, greenish gray, then dark gray, then blue, dark blue, light blue, then crimson red. This classification of different eye color is based on Martin's and Seller's scheme. So following Martin's scheme, we have these varieties of iris color. For sclera, we have clear sclera, very clear. Then hazy colored sclera and speckled sclera. So these are the three colors of sclera that we can observe or we can see in human eye. So from the above somatoscopic observation which we have discussed, we can understand the physical morphological characters of an individual, and by studying such somatoscopic observation, we can very easily identify an individual through morphological observation. At the same time, this observation can help in personal identification. You see, even the police personnel are using this somatoscopic observation for describing an individual. We have often come across in television describing a person, a missing person, using such somatoscopic observations. And at the same time, such somatoscopic observations are used for distinction of races or for identifying different racial groups or ethnic groups by way of identifying a group from another group by studying such morphological or what we call somatoscopic observation. That means, in short, such somatoscopic observation are used for personal identification as well as identification of one group from another group, or from one ethnic group from another group, or from one race to another group.